Oh, Chad, what's going on, internet world? It's your boy Uche with another late night video. It's been a cool minute. I've done these late night videos. I think this is probably my first late night video of 2024. And I wanted to come out here to talk about something that I am taking away from the 32 years of living on this ghetto ass planet, Chad. I hope TikTok and Instagram doesn't flag this for my profanity because they like to flag my shit because, I curse too much according to them. I love profanity, by the way. 32 years on this planet. And something that I'm taking away from this year. I'm not 32 yet. I'm going to be 32 in April. But the older I get, I posted a meme about this earlier. And I know I post a lot of funny things on TikTok. And a lot of people think it's just a joke. Yes, a lot of it's a joke. But sometimes I'm not just being sarcastic, I'm actually being real. For 32 years, something that I'm leaning into is the absolute fact that I don't like people too much. And I want to break this down and explain what it is about people that I don't like. The problem is not really people per se. I believe that the average human being is actually good because we are inherently good. We come from goodness. There are a few exceptions, and I have much deeper philosophical, spiritual explanation as to why there are these exceptions. But for the most part, most people are good. Most people are inherently good. It's just that goodness is dormant. It's dormant. It's been choked off by society, all kinds of ridiculousness that we've had to face all throughout our childhood, So a lot of times, like a lot of that goodness is just hidden. It's dormant, and the only thing that can reawaken it is if the person chooses to reawaken that. And of course, sometimes it takes goodness, somebody else being a good person, um, worth emulating to be a catalyst for that goodness to be reawakened. But unfortunately, the reality is that a lot of people, their goodness is dormant. And as a result, a lot of people exude so much distortion, so much of what I call distortion. A lot of people are very selfish, very self-centered, lack accountability, lack intentionality. A lot of people, most people are constantly thinking about themselves and really don't give a shit about their fellow human beings. And that to me makes humans, the average human being, very unattractive. And the older I get, this has nothing to do with trauma, by the way. My therapist is trying to, diagnose me with some shit. And I've had some discussions regarding this in the past with some people who try to say, oh, maybe because you had like your own traumatic experience with your family and things like that. Trust me, it has nothing to do with trauma. I've always had this mentality all of my life, and I'm so glad that I actually still have memories of when I was a kid in my single digits, like 3, 4, 5 years old, before my trauma kicked in, of me not liking the average person. I've always, even as a child, thought the average person was mediocre, very lame, not impressive at all, and just there's something about the average person that I just never really found attractive as a child. But now I've gotten older and I've come to understand it, that I don't necessarily judge, but I also don't deny that it's there. And the older I've gotten, dabbling in Christianity and, religion, all kinds of nonsense, ridiculous ideas of what being a good person is. I used to tolerate all kinds of buffoonery and malarkey and mediocrity, dude, because I thought that was what being a good person was. Nah, the older I've gotten, the more like, yeah, I'm not feeling this. A lot of people annoyed the absolute fucking shit out of me. And it's not because I hate people. But again, it's just because a lot of people are failing to embody that fundamental aspect of our gift as human beings, the ability to choose. See, you have the ability to align with that goodness that courses through your being. All of us, we do, myself included. And I know that it's something that is so difficult to do because of, Chad, I don't know what's going on with my throat, Chad. It's very difficult to do because of a lot of what we've been taught as children. Like we've been taught to deviate from that natural goodness that courses through our being. A lot of us have been taught against that natural or naturality that courses through our being. So now, as adults, we're doing everything and anything, trying so desperately to go back home, find love within ourselves and things like that. But it's still your choice. It's still your choice to go back home within. But unfortunately, from what I've seen in these 32 years of living on this earth, a lot of people don't have the balls to do it. A lot of people don't do it. Either because they're too scared, they're too worried about what other people will say, and as a result, they're hurt. And hurt people hurt people. And I'm sick and tired of pretending to be impressed by a lot of these people. Sick and tired. This is why, if you know me personally, anyone who knows me personally, you can definitely attest to this. Or people who would describe me as somebody who's, hot and cold, hot and cold. But that's because I'm battling with all these things. Like, should I? But I've gotten to the point in my life I don't give a shit. I don't. I don't. I don't. I just don't. And I've been thinking about this for several months. I think it's actually going to get way more profound the older I get. Like, I'm 32 in April. By 35, 40, I'll beat that boy. I don't want to say the N-word, Chad, because, you know what I'm saying? TikTok, they be coming for me. I'll be that boy that just don't give a shit. I just don't give a shit. And I want to have the reputation of the person who is a genuine fucking soul. In spite of all the things that people say about me, because I've heard a lot of negative things about me, even from people who claim to love me. Chad, please. I want to be that dude. If I ever show up somewhere, I'm showing up because I want to show up. I want to be that guy. If you're ever inviting me somewhere, you're inviting me because you want Uche to show up. Because I'm not showing up as Tunde. I'm not showing up as anybody else. I'm not showing up as Ryan. I'm not showing up as Mark. I'm not showing up as anyone else but Uche. If you do not want Uche there, do not invite Uche, on God. Trust me, I could care less about you inviting me Kasakwa. In Igbo, there's something called Kasakwa. Let it be said that I'm inviting him so he doesn't get it. Trust me, I'm not getting my feelings. You're not doing me any service by not inviting me or inviting me. I could care less. If you want me there, invite me because you want me there. And if I want to be there, I will come there. If I ever show up anywhere, you know that I'm showing up because I really do care. If I ever do something for you or for anyone, you know that I'm doing it because I genuinely do care. It's not a situation of trying to impress. Impress who? Impress who? This is why, if you know me personally, you probably recognize that I'm not really good with faces and names because I live in the moment. I meet a lot of people. I'm not trying to brag or anything. I know some of these Shinkocha people that try to put me in the box and try like he's always bragging. Thunder fight people. I'm not trying to brag or anything. It's just the truth. I live in the moment, and I meet a lot of people. So it's impossible for me to remember everyone's face and everyone's name. However, if I am to form a genuine bona fide relationship with you, I want it to be organic. I want it to be natural. I want it to be electric, real, genuine. And I want you to see all sides of me, all seasons of me. And when you see all of that and you still love me unconditionally, like as in you don't expect me to be anyone else but myself, and I also in turn choose you, let it be so. That's what I want. And the older I get, like I said, the older I get, the more I'm leaning into it. I don't like people too much because people are the problem. And as I'm stepping into 2024, chair, on God, it's onye ọbụla can get it. Elansi, ngwa gị okwu m ga-agwa gị kịta, ọnwụ mmadụ ga-agwa gị, look, machakwara nwa gị anya. The way you talk to me, better wash your mouth with soap. The way you talk to me. In fact, my default response is roll my eyes and move on. But on a good day, I'll air you out. On a good day, I'll air you out. Because I don't like people. People are the problem. The type of people that I mess with, the type of people I prefer in my life are people who are intentional, less selfish, people who look in the mirror, who hold themselves accountable, people who are intentional in maximizing their potential and their time in here, now, as people. People who are willing to learn and teach, people who are willing to heal. Those are the type of people I'm interested in. And unfortunately, that's not most people. And as a result, at 32 years old almost, I am fully embodying it. I do not like people. Uche, peace and love. Yo, what's going on again, TikTok? It's your boy Uche with another video. Today, back to the topic of me not liking people very much. Like I said, in 2024, and moving on, Chad. Almost 32 years on this ghetto ass planet. We keep it real, okay? 100%. Don't like it's called therapy. I'm just keeping it real. And this has nothing to do with trauma. It's just been the way it is since I was a kid. Just like I said, I went through all kinds of ups and downs trying to navigate through life, trying to unlearn a lot of nonsense I was taught in Nigeria as to what being a good person is. And I just came to realize this is malarkey, this is horse shit, this is nonsense. This is malarkey, so I'm gonna have to walk away from that and redefine everything by myself. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for going through all of that. Now I have this deep sense of peace and confidence in my soul when I say I do not like people very much, because I understand it from a much deeper perspective. And yeah, I know I'm a very deeply spiritual person, which is why I've come to break that down to explain to you what it is about people that I do not like. It's not that people are bad. No, but there's certain things about people that turn someone like me off. Starting with the fact that people are very inconsiderate. People are very inconsiderate of others. Now, let me break this down from a much deeper perspective. If you've been watching me for a while, you probably have heard me talk about the oneness of all. I do believe that um, we're all literally the exact same spirit, however, this one spirit has manifested itself necessarily in this pseudo reality. So this is not reality. This is just like a dream to me anyway. So you are me, I'm you, but not just me and you, like everything, literally everything. This thing, all of that, the air you breathe, the mosquitoes, bacteria, virus, the sky, the clouds, every single atom, every single quark, every single is literally the exact same spirit manifested into necessarily into form, right? So the reason why you exist looking the way you exist is because your existence is necessary, just like mine is necessary. Only me can be Uche. Only you can be you. Only this thing can be this thing. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why all of that, and we all play our parts. And together we form a big one picture in this physical reality. I know this is probably too deep for some people, but however, I feel like in this reality though, everything follows that oneness. There's a pattern. I've talked about this in on my podcast, on my YouTube so many times. There's a pattern that courses through all of us. I call this the pattern. And essentially, this is God. It's sort of like a DNA of how to be, what we ought to be, what we ought to do when we manifest into this reality, how to maintain that oneness. And I believe that humans are the only physical beings, and notice that I'm saying physical beings because there could be other non-physical beings that are exceptions to this. But I believe that humans are the only physical beings that are exception to this, as in we have the ability to choose to go against that pattern. Um, and being in this reality or this pseudo reality, there's something called separation of identity and veil of forgetfulness. So, veil of forgetfulness essentially means that you don't remember anything beyond being a human being. This is why you don't remember where you were before you were born or where you're going to go after you're dead. This is why you don't have any type of line of communication with anyone after they're dead, your ancestors and things like that. Yes, we do have people who claim to be able to speak to the dead and go back and forth and, things like that. But the truth is that there's this veil of forgetfulness, and this veil of forgetfulness is sort of like a veil that prevents us from knowing anything beyond the human reality. Because if we were able to lift this veil of forgetfulness, we would actually see the entirety of everything, like infinity itself. And not only will we see infinity itself, we realize that we are actually infinity itself, like we're everything. And by everything, I mean everything, like timelessness, all of us, all of us, including the things that we think we know, the things we think we don't know, and the things we think we know we don't know, and the things we don't know we don't know. Like you get what I'm saying? Like all of that. And the human mind, this veil of forgetfulness is supposed to protect us, like because the human mind cannot comprehend that. The human mind is finite, and infinity or finite human mind trying to comprehend infinity, it would just break us. Like you could die as a result. So that veil of forgetfulness is there to protect you, so you're not overloaded, overwhelmed by that infinity of everything, right? And then also the veil of forgetfulness is there to protect you from your past lives, because I believe in reincarnation. To reincarnate, incarnation is to be made human. So that is that infinite spirit manifesting necessarily in your human form. That's incarnate. To incarnate, that's incarnation. That's natural. It's a natural process of being. It's a natural process of being, right? But to reincarnate means that you did not achieve what it is that you manifested. You incarnated first for. So you have to come back, and you have to keep coming back and coming back and coming back until you get it right. And I believe that most people are reincarnations. And I'm going to make a whole episode on that. I just have to find time as to what reincarnation is and how it works, right? But most people reincarnate. And the reason why you're reincarnated is because your soul failed to either learn what it was supposed to learn or fulfill the purpose that it was brought into this world for. And again, I'll do a whole episode on that, explaining why most people don't achieve what it is that they come to this world to achieve, and they have to keep reincarnating. So every time you reincarnate, the veil of forgetfulness helps you forget your past life. So you focus on this life now, because if you remember your past lives, those demons that prevented you from passing will find you here and become obstacles as well, and it'll be your doom, inevitable. You'll be like perpetually doomed. So that veil of forgetfulness is here to protect you, so you do not, succumb to those temptations that made you fail in the past life, if that makes any sense. As a result of veil of forgetfulness, we don't see that we're everything. Now, separation of identity is also in part of veil of forgetfulness. Separation of identity is humans, we see each other as others. So when I look at you, I don't see me. I see a total different entity. And this is because of separation of identity, right? Which in reality, with that veil of forgetfulness being lifted, we will see that we are literally the exact same. Like, not metaphorically, like we're the exact, like one body, sort of like how, like the cells that you have in your body, like they don't see each other as separate. They see each other as one entity of Uche, right? But us, though, because of that veil of forgetfulness and separation of identity, we see each other as others. And because we see each other as others, we treat each other accordingly as others. This is what the ego feeds on. Okay, I've talked about the ego. It's a foreign entity that lives in this world. Talked about this so many times. Maybe one day I'll do a whole episode dedicated to the ego. I'm actually writing about it. But the ego exists in this realm. It can only exist in this realm. It feeds off that veil of forgetfulness and separation of identity. This is the reason why we treat each other like shit. And this is why most people are very inconsiderate. So because of, when I look at you, I see someone that's different from me. Maybe you're taller, you're shorter, you're poorer, you're richer, you're darker, you're lighter, you're whatever the situation is, that ego comes out to play. And I treat you like crap accordingly. This is what it is about humans that I find extremely unattractive. That inconsiderateness. Because every single time that you treat somebody, every single time that you're inconsiderate, me, the observer, it tells me that you have succumbed to the ego. And trust me, the ego comes to every one of us equally, myself included. But the difference is that every single day of my life, I am very intentional to fight it. Very, very, very intentional to fight it. And most people don't know how to be intentional. As a result, we've wreaked so much havoc in this world. And as a result, subsequently, I find most people extremely unattractive. And I've gone through my life pretending, tolerating these people, bro. And at 32 almost, I don't give a shit anymore. You know what? The type of people that I fuck with, the type of people I'm genuinely interested in, are people who are also equally intentional. People who are very mindful what they say, how they do, how they act, how they navigate through this world. People who are very intentional. People who are not afraid to be vulnerable. People who I'm going to do an episode about vulnerability and why it's extremely important to be vulnerable. By the way, people who are not afraid to go to therapy. People who are simple, people who are not afraid to be human, people who understand that truly what it is that we're fighting is not flesh and blood, but powers and principalities in higher places. People who understand that this thing is deep, dark, and malevolent, and is seeking to divide and conquer and have our souls trapped in this pseudo reality for all eternity. And they're doing everything within their power while being humble to fight this thing. Them's the type of people I'm interested in. And the sad thing is, those people are the minorities. There's a chance, if that's you, if you're one of these people, there's a chance that you're the only person in your entire zip code. And that's sad. And that's exactly why I don't mess with people. I don't like people like that. And on God, I don't want to use the D word, but I'd rather D before I apologize for this shit. Because Chad, 2024, Who anyone can get it. You better respect yourself. Oh, Marako to get shakwamoko because kita no Elance, Ameja aha Jesus, aha Chineke, kwognishi, Nara, Uche, peace and love.